What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's your boy Sean, and thanks for tuning in. Today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about what I like to keep in my bag or what I like to keep with me when I go out shooting. Either if I'm driving somewhere to shoot a landscape or maybe if I'm hiking somewhere to take a landscape photo. Just because sometimes it's not always the same pieces, but these are like the majority rules kind of pieces that I always have with me. Like I never leave the house when I go to shoot without these pieces unless I know for a fact that I do not need them or it's a completely different type of shoot. But even then, I almost always have one with me, or at least some of it with me. Alright, so the first one, which is pretty obvious, I never leave the house without extra batteries. The reason why I like having plenty of extra batteries with me is just because the fact is you never know when you'll actually run out of juice. And let's just say if you're shooting and you're about to get that perfect shot that you've been waiting for, that you've been dreaming about, but yet your battery dies on you. Always have extra ones, always, like 110%, always have extra ones with you. And kind of a little side note to that little battery tangent I just had, one other reason why I would feel like you should bring some extra batteries with you, especially if you're shooting at night and it's cold or just in cold environments. Batteries do horrible in cold environments. For me, since I live in Florida, I usually don't really run into that type of situation a lot unless it gets into more winter months. But even then, I usually have extra batteries with me just in case, just because you never know. Alrighty, accessory number 2 that I usually always have with me is going to be an intervalometer. Intervalometer. Try saying that 10 times fast. Intervalometer, intervalometer, intervalometer. I don't think I could do it. It's like almost like word vomit at that point. But yes, I usually always have one of these with me, and the reason why I usually do is just because sometimes I want to be able to take longer exposed photos than what my camera is capable of doing internally. Every camera is going to have the ability to put it into bulb mode, but the thing is, and the downside of that is, the only way to activate it and actually have something longer than 30 seconds is going to be basically to hold that shutter button down. What's going to happen then is you're going to get a shaky or blurry image. So this eliminates any kind of shake. It's going to basically ensure that my photo is not going to be blemished or have any kind of issues in it. So that's why I always have one with me. Another reason, or one of the reasons why I used to actually carry one with me, was more for time-lapse photography, just because the fact is cameras at one point didn't have built-in intervalometers. I have such a hard time saying that word. Let's just say time-lapse modes, or intervalometer modes. There we go, intervalometer modes. So I used to carry one because of that. It basically allowed me to, take hundreds of pictures and then in post put it together to make a awesome time-lapse movie. But now, most cameras have a built-in one, which is pretty awesome. And at the same time is they usually go to extremely high numbers, so that's another good thing. I found out in a very bad way that this only goes up to like 400 shots, which I didn't realize when I bought it. There was nothing like that on the box when I bought it, so just fair warning if you're looking into one. This is the Insignia one from Best Buy. It's it does a good job for what it is. It's just if you need to go over that 400 shot count, this won't do it for you. You will be only able to go up to 400 shots, and then let's just say if you can't get back to this before the time's up, basically your camera's just gonna stop and you're gonna ruin your time lapse. It's not gonna actually start. It's not gonna be taking photos anymore. Be careful with which ones you're buying, especially for which ones you need. Like I was saying though, like Sony's now have the intervalometer built into it, Nikons have it, Canons have it on their DSLRs, but on their mirrorless camera, on the EOS R, I don't believe it does. I know there's a time-lapse mode, but it's for movies, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe always keep one with you. Keep it definitely for long exposure photography. I've kind of stayed away from the extreme long exposures just because I've noticed that I start to get hot pixels after about 2 minutes. I try to avoid that as much as possible. So most of my long exposures now are like 30 seconds max, maybe a little bit longer, and that's why I keep this with me. Accessory number 3. Now with mirrorless cameras being a lot more popular now and actually having the ability of charging them using USB and things of that nature, battery packs have become something as an almost a staple within my camera bag, regardless if I'm shooting landscapes, portraiture, wedding shoots, whatever. This can be a lifesaver, or you couldn't even have to worry about it. I always like to have one with me. Now this is my small little adventure, my charge power bank. The reason why I bought this one was for astrophotography, and I have another accessory that I'm going to show you. It's kind of like a little bonus accessory that I'm going to talk about. I don't think it's necessary in a lot of situations. It's really not, but I'll get to that later. Talking about this first. So I went with the My Charge Adventure one, and I went with, I believe, the 5,000 milliamp. No, I don't even remember, honestly. I don't remember what milliamp this is, but it's a small one. So the reason why I went with this one is because it's rugged, it's tough if I drop it, if I throw it, if whatever. I mean, look, nothing. But the reason why I like that one is just because the fact is it's shockproof, it's waterproof when it's sealed, like when you don't have anything plugged into it. So like there is a little bit of like gasket kind of door that you can close on it, and it will make it weather resistant. I haven't really tested it too hard, so I don't really know. I can't give you a full disclaimer. I don't know if it's fully weather resistant. I've taken out in like late night shooting where there was a lot of condensation buildup, and it didn't affect it even with the cable being plugged into it. So it's held up pretty good so far. Alrighty, so accessory number 4 is going to be an L bracket. So when I first got into photography, I would have never, ever thought about something like this, especially like when I started, just because the fact is, I mean, like when I started, all I thought about was portrait photography. So I was thinking about like prime lenses, and I mean, when I really started focusing on photography, like Instagram portraiture was a really big thing. So like reflections and like different crazy lights. So like those are the accessories I had with me at that time. Things have changed drastically since then, but I never leave my house when I go to shoot without one of these, even though I do have a battery grip on my camera, and this does not accommodate with the battery grip. If I'm doing like landscape photography, I usually don't bring my battery grip, just because for one, size. I mean, I have a relatively smaller bag, Peak Design 20-liter bag. It holds enough for most things, but sometimes I do need a little bit more space, so anything I can save, the better. So with that being said, this does fit the X-T3 without the battery grip, and the reason why is because when you have it on your camera, it allows you to essentially put your camera vertically to get vertical shots for landscape photography, whatever the case may be, but it allows you to fit it vertically on your tripod. Now this is Arca Swiss compatible, so not every single tripod is Arca Swiss compatible, but the ones that I use and the ones that I have with me all are. So if you have like a video head tripod, this is not going to work. If you have a capture clip from Peak Design, which I do on my camera bag, this does not clip into it. Well, I've never tried, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't clip into it. Maybe like so. This right here, it doesn't. At least to my knowledge, I'll test it out. But this is going to be a pretty awesome lifesaver in a lot of situations, because when you have your camera vertical and you put it off to the side on a tripod, like in that little notch, it makes things off-centered sometimes. And then also too, it does create a little bit of an unbalance in your tripod, which I've never had any bad experiences in that department where I felt like my camera was going to be a little bit too heavy, or my tripod was gonna tip over because of the center of gravity was off to the side now. But with this, I can basically make sure that my camera is going to be perfectly centered with my tripod, and I don't have any uncentered photos. Like my composition is pretty centered as well, and just overall it's awesome. I love it. And also it's a very quick way of basically putting your camera from vertical to horizontal. So that's one really cool thing that I think every landscape photographer should have, regardless of what camera it is. Accessory number 5. So, oh man, when I first got into landscape photography, I really didn't know much about filters, and especially ND filters. And when I finally got my first ND filter, which was like a super cheap $20 ND filter off of Amazon, I think it was like Ice brand. I don't even really know. I think it was Ice, but I didn't know anything about it. And also too, like I didn't really have the money to spend $300, $400 on a circular ND filter when I was, looking them up. But I knew that there was going to be a huge difference in a sense of quality. but I knew there was gonna be a huge difference in a sense of quality. So when I got my first ND filter, I put it on there, and I mean, I knew there was gonna be color shifting and things of that nature, and there was pretty bad. So there was kind of a pain in the post-production side of things. You know, I used that one for a while. I basically, you know, had that, and that was my only option. But then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a good set of ND filters. So right now I've been using the Nissi. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it properly, but filter set. So I'm using the Nissi version 5 Pro. It's basically the kit that's going to sit on the front element of your lens. I'm sorry, here's the V5 Pro. That's the name of it. So V5 Pro is going to be the actual model of this. And I believe they actually just came out with a new one. I don't know the difference on it just because I haven't really looked into it, just because I have this one and this one does wonders for me. But yes, this is what I use for my filter set. Now inside it, I mean, it's gonna come with a super cool case, which is super nice. If you wanna put on your belt or something like that, you could do that. I usually don't do that. I usually just take what I need and leave this at home, just because this does take up space. It comes with like step down rings, so that way if you have lenses that are gonna be a bit smaller, you can also use that. I mean, if you just use the attachment by itself, it's going to accommodate a 82mm diameter lens. Like a lot of Sony G Masters are that, I think some Canon lenses are that, but mine are usually just going to be about 77, which is usually the biggest that my lenses go to. So I usually have to use an adapter ring, which is totally fine. But it also comes with the step down rings and step up rings, so it can go all the way down to a 67mm lens, which is pretty dope. And it also comes with a polarizer, a circular polarizer. I've only used it like once, so I don't really know how well it really actually helps with it. But I went all out, I got this. I have my 10-stop Nissi ND filter right here. This thing is, I think, like $150. But man, do I freaking love it. Like, this thing is the best. I don't have any kind of color shifting. I don't have any kind of issues with it. And it comes in this nice little like protector. But I invested into that just because I knew that the quality was gonna be different. I knew it was gonna be a lot better. So, you know, like $300-400 later after getting those two things, you know, my photos kind of went from being okay in the long exposure department to much better. So definitely highly recommend investing into good filters. Alrighty, and this is going to be that bonus round. Basically what this accessory is just going to be something that is almost like I can't even think of another reason why you would want to use it for something else. But it's going to be a dew heater, right? What is a dew heater? I never knew what a dew heater was until, what, 3 months ago? So this is a dew heater. And what a dew heater is, and that wristband, or this band, is Velcro based, and then you actually wrap it around the front element is. And the reason why you would use something like this is if you're shooting astrophotography and you're doing maybe a time lapse of the Milky Way, or maybe you're doing star trails and there's a lot of condensation, or it's kind of getting muggy, there's fog, or maybe even if it's like getting cold, what can happen is condensation can build up on the front element of your lens. Essentially, let's just say there's a really bright star or something like that. It'll almost start to look like it's flickering a little bit. It may not be flickering, but what's happening is as you're taking those photos and you're putting it together with that condensation building up on the front element, it's actually causing like a blemish. It's not going to be a sharp image, so that can also ruin your shot. And it's happened to me before. And I was like kind of boggled on what was going on until I realized that my actual front element was fogging up. So I did a little bit of research, Googled it, camera dew heater, and this brand ProTige popped up on Amazon. It was like $25 if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a little bit less. And I ordered it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it out. So basically I bought it, it came in the mail, and I went to go test it out, and holy crap, this thing works. And that is one other reason why I bring my battery pack with me, and that's the reason why I bought it, was because basically when I plug this in, it's nice and small, I can hang it from my tripod, and all I need to do is now just plug that in there, and then that's going to heat this up, and it's going to keep the lens warm so no condensation is building up. Basically, hopefully these accessories are maybe something that you may or may not already have. If you already have them, great. I enjoyed having you on the other side of this camera watching me just babble about what I bring in my camera bag for landscape photography. This could be something that you would like, maybe something else I could do in the future, maybe something more specific, or maybe what's in my bag, but I might do that a little bit later because I don't have a lot in my bag all the time right now. I will list them in the description down below with the links to the actual websites that I got them from and where you can buy them if you're interested. If not, no biggie guys, have a great one. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below if there's something that you would potentially want to see in the future. Peace out, guys.